Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're talking about Git, the version control program. Now, I would assume that most of my audience knows what version control is or how it works. Basically, I'll just do a quick introduction. So in the world of software programming and software engineering, they have version control programs that keep a record of every change that's made to a project right at the very line level. So if you change a line in your code, you can commit that to the record and keep track of every change that was made to a project, even if, of course, there's multiple developers. In fact, that's why the Git program was invented, to track all these different developers that were building the Linux kernel, which was a huge software project. So you had this program that just kept track of who changed what line on what day, and then it's contributed to a central repository. So of course, it's relevant in software, and I first encountered it at my job doing tech support, and I thought, this is awesome. You could use this for writing, because if you're working on a long writing project over time, you might be going through it and kind of seeing, once you're done with it, like what actually happened, at what point, when did you come up with that line, or why did that character's name change? What happened? It can actually be a little disorienting if it's a longer project and you've been working on it for a long time. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes if it went off the rails, where it went off the rails, and why. If it suddenly went from a really crappy slog to all of a sudden getting really good, it can be helpful to kind of go back and see where those milestones happened, kind of what happened in the history of the project. Also, it can be good in the moment as you're trying to finish it, kind of noticing, keeping track of what you're doing, where your energy is going, and where things are not working. Well, that's actually the topic of this video. So in the Git version control program, and I would assume other ones have a similar feature, you have something called commits. A commit is like the primary unit of work when you're working in version control. It's kind of like a save state. Like if you're playing a video game emulator and you do a save state at that point right before the final boss, because you've got everything up to that point perfect, and you were trying to get a specific goal, let's say. So a commit is kind of like that. It's like a save state that freezes everything at that point. And so the thing about a commit is that when I was first learning Git, it kind of sounds like you're committing to that state of things. So you feel like, well, I'm not going to do a commit until this scene is perfect, or that chapter is just the way it's supposed to be. But rarely in a writing project, you're going to be doing so much editing, you're not going to get to those points of perfection along the way. That might only be at the very end. And even then, it's not going to be perfect. You can finish something and then read it years later and want to tweak and change something. And that's an impulse that you kind of want to avoid. So a commit doesn't mean necessarily a long-term final commitment. It's not that at all. So the actual meaning of the word, it comes from Latin. It means to entrust. So it's kind of just like putting a note in a line item. It's not the finished product. It's helpful to think of it more as like a journal entry. And when you make a commit in Git, it assigns a unique hash to it, and it prompts you to create a message. So it's literally like a journal entry. You're writing down exactly what you did in that commit. And of course, it keeps track of the date and who made the commit. Of course, if you're just working individually, it doesn't matter as much because they're all going to be made by you. But Git can be used with multiple authors working on the same project. And Git is often used for writing projects as well, not just software projects. So like I said, Git prompts you to leave a message on your commit. And this is where it can get really interesting for writers, because you can do a bad commit if you want to. It's still saving your progress along the way, and you can see what changed at each point in the project. So it's still helpful, even if you do a bad commit, which would be something non-specific, just kind of a bland entry, like edited some stuff and then move on to the next thing. But a good commit would be reconciling with what was accomplished. So it's kind of like if you're keeping notes in a financial ledger back when they would do double entry accounting, and you'd make sure that everything resolves down to 0 or to like a sensible balance, right? You're reconciling all of your accounts together. And you can do that in your writing process. You reconcile by putting just a little note in that commit on what you actually accomplished. And I noticed when I actually tried to do this, like to actually have decent commit messages, it forced me to be more mindful of what I was working on along the way. So instead of just kind of skating over the draft and fixing little things here or there, I would focus on one section and say, I want to work on this section. I want to improve it. And then after I was done, that commit message would be easier to write. Like I finished specific scene or fleshed out, this particular moment in the manuscript. And then looking back over the history, when you look at the commit history, you can actually kind of see where things were going. So when did the project pick up speed? Was there a lull? And at what point? What have you been battling recently? So even if you're looking at your commit history as you go, not necessarily at the finish of the project, but as you're checking in with it daily, I could kind of see that there were parts in my outline that I was avoiding. Like maybe there was something, because I knew that those scenes might be difficult to write, or I didn't feel like I could write them well. I could actually see my hesitation in the commit history, and that encouraged me to kind of just ram through those scenes head on and get them done, so that at least I had them done and I could notate that they were done, and then go back and fix something later. It's much easier to go back and fix something later than to just kind of procrastinate indefinitely. What are you avoiding? Which sections were more difficult? Was there a lot of backtracking? You can see all of this in the commit history. When did the current change direction? Like I said, when did you go from sloggy trudging through the muck to all of a sudden hitting your momentum and everything's kind of gliding and everything feels good? All of that is in the commit history. So I have some examples here. These would be some bad commits. If you looked at your commit history, this is kind of what you would see. You would see the unique commit hash. The full hashes are actually longer than this, but usually they truncate them to make it easier to kind of skate through. WIP, WIP, work in progress. That doesn't say much. Obviously, it's a work in progress. Some minor edits. Again, not really saying much. You can look at the actual commit and see exactly what changed. And specifically for writing, you can do what's called a word diff. I talk about all of this in my GIT for Writers book. I'll have a link below. Good time to mention that. So when you look at a commit, if you're doing word diffs, you can actually see between each commit, literally each word that changed. So of course, even if you have these sort of lame, non-descriptive commit messages, you can still actually see what you did, but it's helpful to put it in the message. And it's also helpful to force yourself to write those good messages so you know what you did as you're kind of working through the project. So here are some good commit examples. Commits are usually from newest down to oldest. These are inverted just for the sake of demonstration here. So this is an example commit history for, let's say, writing a short story. So the first one would be the initial commit. You got your project structure and your notes set up, opened the story, established the narrator's tone, drafted the first scene, setting and introduction, pushed through the second scene, conflict introduced, a turn, starting to click. So that's more of a process note. You're saying like things are turning now, things are starting to click, starting to get some momentum, rough draft complete. And GIT also lets you do tags. So commits are not your only place where you can put context in that message. You can put a tag saying, rough draft complete. You don't have to put that as your commit message. Also, you can take notes. GIT lets you leave a note, which can be much longer than a regular commit message, where you can actually notate a lot more of what happened, almost like blog posts. First revision pass, tighten the opening, cut the second paragraph of scene 1. So those are very specific commits. Addressed group critique notes, soften the ending. So that's even notating that you got some readers, you read at your critique group, came back and got feedback, made changes. final proofread pass, and then submitted to mudflap review is the last commit that you actually, this is the draft that you committed. That's also helpful when you've submitted something and let's say you've made other edits to it, and then the place where you submitted maybe rejected it or gave feedback, you can know exactly which version they saw because it would be in the commit history. You could actually tag it if you want. But usually the commit is good enough to know, okay, that was the version they saw, that was maybe a couple versions behind. I know what they didn't like, and, I'm already addressing that, let's say. So yeah, all of this can be incredibly helpful. Like I said, I've mentioned my hacker novel. That was the longest thing I ever wrote. I did this the whole way through. I said, I'm actually going to write good commit notes. And it was really helpful. Helped me get through the whole thing, actually get through those difficult scenes as well, because I could notice as I was doing my commit logs every day. And you can do a commit at the end of a writing session. I found it's often helpful to break them up into multiple ones. So like after I've changed like at least 250 or 300 words added or edited or deleted, that's usually a significant enough chunk of work where I feel like a commit is a good stopping point to kind of reconcile with what you did and then move on to the next thing. So on most days I might have done like 2 or 3 commits, let's say. But yeah, it's all helpful, and it's all notated in the history there, so I can kind of look back, and it's still a work in progress. So I've got another round of edits I will probably do on it. So that commit history will continue to grow. But there you go. Let the commits tell the story. I'll put a link to the blog post that I wrote on this topic as well, if you want to see it written out that way as well. And as I said, it's also figuring prominently in the GIT for Writers handbook, if you want to check that out as well. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts or opinions, if you would use GIT in your writing project, or if so, how. And let me know if you have any comments or questions. I'll go ahead and leave the video there. Check out the GIT for Writers handbook, and also EMACS for Writers. It's also on my website. But that's all for now. I will see you all next time.